Mark Geragos, reps Hunter Biden in a separate matter, not this one. Trial attorney Misty Marris. What is the prosecution doing, Misty, that you believe tees them up for an easy win here?
Well, today was really a red letter day for the prosecution, and I'm talking about Keston's testimony because this is his ex-girlfriend. And while we heard from Hunter Biden's ex-wife, who was married to him for 25 years, they were divorced in 2017. Keston was with Hunter Biden closer to this relevant time period. And the testimony that was particularly good for the prosecution was testimony from Keston that she was with Hunter Biden in September of 2018 and that she saw him using drugs on that date. She did not see him in October, but she did help him purchase drugs in November, at which point he sent her a message that said something to the effect of, although I don't need to use drugs, I will always be an addict. So the prosecution is honing in on this timeline, which will be further emphasized by Haley Biden's testimony, what we anticipate her speaking about that critical time period in October. But the prosecution's really chipping away at the timeline defense that was raised in the opening arguments.
Right. So, Mark, the best thing that the defense has going for it is that an unusual percentage of this jury has openly admitted they have people who suffer from addiction in their immediate circle. And that plays into an understanding of how addicts can behave. And there is something to the suggestion that an addict will believe that they are not an addict. And that's going to matter in this defense, right? How much?
I think quite a bit. I will tell you that in trying cases, I'm now, I hate to admit it, going to my 5th decade, I can't remember a case that involved either mental health or substance abuse where during jury selection, fully half of the people involved didn't admit that somebody extremely close to them, not a cousin or somebody, I'm talking brother, sister, father, mother, had issues. And that's what we have here. And I will tell you that the one thing, and there are so many parallels, you know, I was listening raptly at your opening because we've been commenting, obviously, on the Trump trial in New York and how that case was lost as soon as it was in jury selection, and you would expect prosecutors to make decisions not to bring cases like that. I just want people who were lambasting the judge or lambasting bringing it in New York or lambasting kind of the misdemeanor in search of a felony to understand what this case is. This is somebody who is being prosecuted by a special counsel, which is a Trump appointee, who was a Trump appointee, who is now prosecuting Hunter Biden on a case that was originally supposed to be a deferred entry of judgment, like a diversion. And now they're prosecuting him on the most hyper of technicalities. It's really beyond the pale in my opinion. But having said that, I think that Hunter stands a better shot than Trump did because he's in Delaware. This is the most ticky-tack foul, speaking of your basketball games. It's a ticky-tack foul. The prosecutor should be ashamed of themselves for bringing this case. And this is precisely why they should not be criminalizing the political system.
Misty, quick button.
Yeah. So, Mark, obviously, you're brilliant. And I agree with a lot of what you said, maybe about why the case is being brought, but it is being brought. And these laws are in place from a public policy perspective that people who are drug users and abusers should not have access to guns. And so, yes, I agree, the form. And I'm looking at the form, and I don't even know if you get around the are you an addict? Because the other part of the form says unlawful user of or addict. So I do think there's a distinction there. But the other piece of this is the possession. Can I just note that there's the form is one part, but the possession of the gun while using drugs is the other piece that I do think sometimes gets lost when we speak about this case.
But Misty, I think you would agree with me. How many people that you've represented and I've represented who were users or substance abusers, who literally, not the first time, not the second time, not the third time they get arrested, are still in denial. I mean, I have people very, very close to me who are in denial. You can have interventions. They don't know. They don't recognize it.
Me too.
They believe it more than O.J. believes he didn't commit murder.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.